I notice you haven't bought your Get Built shirt yet. It's a little hurtful.
I'm sorry.
Built Nation is counting on you. Oh my gosh, so much to talk about. Can the cold open just be that? Can it just be you
Yeah,
doing
I think that's it.
doing punching calisthenics?
Yeah.
That's it. Okay. Hello and welcome to Flanagan's Wake, a Doof Media podcast singing in Mike Flanagan's Acid Rain. My name is Scott Daly, and joining me, as always, the only legal expert I'll ever need, it's Matt Freeman.
Scott, do not tell them anything.
Okay, what am I supposed to say?
I just don't. Just keep your mouth shut. Just don't.
Okay.
Just. I mean, okay. Look, I'll give you a quick, easy to remember pointer. Okay.
Okay, got it.
Okay, ready?
Uh-huh.
Okay, we at Doof Media take our responsibility to the environment very seriously, and we are aligned with you in our mutual goal of compliance with any and all regulatory guidelines.
Well, that's not true. Got it. This week on the show, our coverage of Mike Flanagan's The Fall of the House of Usher continues with episode 2, The Masque of the Red Death. It's the Perry Dies episode, as Prospero hosts an epic party at an abandoned Usher chemical plant, and he accidentally spills acid on everyone. Oops. Matt, what'd you think of this week's episode?
This is pretty delightful. Very Poe. Very, very tragic. You know, I wanted to feel more gratified at the horrible death of the character, but I think in the end I felt that the character and the show is going in an interesting direction where it isn't just going to be us fist pumping as each of these kids is murdered horribly. Like there's going to be some pathos, some we're going to have mixed feelings about it, I'll say, because it's not like I love Prospero, but it's also not like he's a sort of inhuman caricature. So I thought that was a fun and much more interesting spot on the map, especially for us to talk about, you know, gives us a lot more to talk about when the character is an interesting, fleshed out character and then they die horribly.
I would say if the show was just us building to a fist pump moment at the end of every episode, it would ultimately feel pretty hollow. I think that would wear out its welcome pretty soon. So yeah, I mean, you need to do something deeper there. You need to have something more going on. And I agree. I thought this episode did it. I loved this episode. I think I didn't say this last week because I didn't want to color your opinion and our viewers' opinion too much. I think the first episode of the show is the worst episode of the show, and I don't mean that in a negative way about that episode. I just think that episode has to do a lot of setting up. It's got to kind of set the board for us, as we talked about last week, and now for the next 7 weeks we really just get to go. And you've seen in this episode what that looks like. We get to zoom in on these individual characters, learn a lot about them, understand them. Even as we hate them, we kind of like them a little bit. While also doing all these things with the overarching plot and then our other characters at the same time. And that's actually something that I wanted to talk about here at the very beginning before we get into it. You know, we talked last week about how I felt like this show was a culmination of Mike Flanagan's career up until this point. In many ways. I mean, and I think that continues here in this episode. First of all, we got Katie Parker back. the OG Mike Flanagan actress is back here in the show as Roderick's first wife, Annabelle Lee. So that was wonderful. But the other thing I wanted to talk about is this idea of this show kind of building upon and learning from everything that Flanagan's television had done up until this point. You know, you like from House of Usher, or sorry, from Hill House, we got the telling multiple plot lines at the same time. We've got love to hate characters. We've got just like this complicated depth of drama and emotion. And then the thing that I was thinking about a lot in this episode was Midnight Club. And in Midnight Club, this kind of how the show has to constantly strike this balance between all the various storylines we're telling at the same time and how much time to spend on each of them. And that's something that, in its weakest parts for me, Midnight Club didn't succeed in. But in this episode, I think the structure of this episode is such that it didn't feel like I was getting short shrift on any of the storylines going in here. Like, this was the Prospero episode, right? He's dead at the end of this episode. This is the episode that's going to spend the most amount of time with him. I didn't feel like we got ripped off from that. I felt we got plenty of time to understand Prospero and with him. And then we still get to move the ball forward with all of our other characters. And then we get to move the ball forward with Roderick and understanding him and what's going on with him and the origins of this man we see sitting on the couch talking to Dupont. Like, we got to see a little bit of what that person was beforehand and maybe start to answer the questions of like, what happened to this guy? I just thought, like, structurally, this episode fits a ton in a relatively quick runtime.
I agree. I love your Midnight Club comparison because it's one that I never would have made because they're so tonally different. But I do agree there's this sort of template familiarity of like, yeah, we're gonna have an ensemble cast and we're gonna sort of rotate through them in a somewhat predetermined way. In that story, each of the characters was telling their stories. In this one, we're going to find out how each of them died as Roderick tells us the story, and that's a really nice way of structuring a season of TV, right? Because you know basically what you're getting into, and then of course the creator can play with your expectations and not do things the way it seems like they're going to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a great comparison. And yeah, great episode. Like you said, we get small moments with pretty much all our characters, but it doesn't feel like we're taking anything away from our main character. And presumably, we're gonna see more of him in later episodes because we're gonna be seeing the stories of other characters and what they've been up to, and so they'll be remembering their interactions with him, and we can always kind of play that card at any time. I'm guessing, at least.
Yeah, that's definitely on the table for sure. The show has already showed it doesn't have qualms kind of jumping around in time. So yeah, for sure. All right, let's get into the episode itself. The Masque of the Red Death was written for television by Mike Flanagan and Emmy Grinwis. I think that's how you pronounce that last name. It was has Danny Parker as a story editor. It was directed by Mike Flanagan once again. It was edited by Brett W. Bachman and Mike Flanagan, and the director of photography is once again Michael Famignari. Matt, where would you like to begin? There's a lot here. I kind of want to save Perry and Perry's death till the end of the episode. It feels like that's a natural cap for our conversation, just like it's a natural cap for the episode. But where would you like to begin?
Well, yeah, if we're not going to start with Perry, then let's start with Roderick, since he's the one telling the story. And
sure.
I feel like with each episode, we're also moving his plot thread forward. One of the ideas that jumped out to me is when he was young, he was a very earnest young man.
Yes.
He seems to be, I could be wrong, but he seems to be earnest in his sales pitch when he's talking about pain, talking about how everybody has to deal with pain. He really seems to know what he's talking about when he says how much pain sucks. His mom suffered horribly before she was buried alive.
Oops.
Accidentally. And so he has some familiarity with it, and you can buy that this would be a sensitive issue with him, a passionate issue.
Yeah.
And I mean, what's interesting is I also happen to think like this is an interesting topic, for lack of a better word, that the idea of pain, and it almost seems odd to me that we don't have better solutions. We just, like, all of our pain treatment options tend to have horrible side effects.
Yeah.
It just seems weird that, like, our medical science is where it is and our treatment of pain is still stuck in the past. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think about Roderick?
Yeah, I mean, I'm so glad you said that you felt he was earnest there, because I agree. I mean, part of the advantage of building that earnesty is casting Zach Gilford as the young version of Roderick Usher, and I think he does a great job at being this very earnest, naive kid in that scene. Like, I love the scene with Rufus, or Rufus Griswold, played by Michael Trucco, like, is talking about the Fuck Dicks Association for the FDA. And I love Zach Gilford's read of,
stupid fuck dicks.
Those fuck dicks. Like, it's clearly uncomfortable, and that really helps build the aw shucksness of him in that scene. That does build to him giving this pitch, which I agree with you. I took as sincere. There's this through line, and we'll talk about Dupont a little bit as well, but there's this through line in this episode of wanting to save the world, right? We have Roderick give this very impassioned speech about how the world needs to be fixed. The world needs to be changed. And then Dupont at the opening of the episode, where we see a young version of Augie,
changing,
is also having a similar speech about how the world is broken and it needs to be changed. And so that's really interesting. Kind of these guys are like directly opposed to each other, right? Like, they are like Augie and is his I'm blanking on the word is the problem.
Antagonist.
I mean, that's not the word I mean, but okay. Yes, like they are directly opposed to each other. There's a clear, the first episode makes it very clear that this has been a long-standing relationship between the two of them, that they have spent their lives kind of going back and forth and fighting with each other. And there's a hint that to Dupont that this has had an effect on his life as well, that he has committed so much time to this prospect of getting Roderick Usher and destroying him, that it's hurt his life. So that we're doing this parallel track with both characters give a monologue about their desires to change the world, I think is very telling. But I agree with you that in this moment, Roderick is being sincere. Again, I think you're right, because of his experience with his mother and the pain. I also want to remind you, not only was his mother in constant pain, but his mother had a very fucked up idea of pain, right? Like, I think that was the Mother Teresa quote, that like, pain just brings you closer to Jesus so he can kiss you. Like, this horribly fucked up idea. And so I think Roderick, both having to see his mother suffer, but also going through his incredibly mentally damaged mother's warped opinion of what pain is, has really instilled in him this idea that this is a problem he wants to solve, that this shouldn't happen, and it's a problem he wants to solve. So I agree with you. I believe him. And, the show has kind of showed us that his pitch on what ligodone is, that it is not habit forming, that it has no side effects, is kind of bullshit. Like, this is the whole argument that Dupont is making, and we haven't seen that textually true, right? But that's the pitch he makes to Rufus Griswold, is that stuff is fine. And I don't think he's lying there. I think that is what he was told, maybe, and he's just buying into it because this is what he believes, right?
Yeah. I think, at least for now, that's the thing. We're going to see over the course of the show the character change,
right,
that leads to him becoming the guy that he is now, where Dupont asks him how much money is enough, and he's like, it's a ridiculous question, of course no amount. And it's like, it doesn't really sound like young Roderick. That sounds like a different dude. So where did he pick that up exactly?
Yeah, the money in his pitch to Rufus, which again, I just agree with you, is a sincere pitch. The money is secondary. He's like, yeah, sure, we'll make money. Of course, we'll make shitloads of money, but we will change the world. We will help people. And I buy that. So yeah, how did that person become this person? Just to, I don't know, you never know what's highly significant, but the word ligodone caught my attention because I just felt like there's definitely a Latin word stem here worth paying attention, because it sort of sounds like a generic medication, right? But ligo means to tie or to bind, and the word ligo in Latin, or ligo probably, means I bind, which I think is very cool, because what a great word to attach to an addictive substance, something that binds you. I think that's pretty awesome.
Now, I'm not sure that young Roderick chose it for its Latin meaning, but I do think just like as a name for an addictive drug, I think that's a great name.
Yeah, it, by the way, also comes from a Poe short story called Ligeia, I think. Ligeia, G-I-E-I-A. It's another way in which they are pulling in everything they possibly can. But I think that's, I like that. I did not know that, but that seems to very much fit this idea. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I wonder what that's about.
No idea. Didn't look it up. Just regurgitating it. No, I mean, I agree. And so one thing I really wanted to talk about in this context is not just the scene where Roderick pitches to Rufus Griswold, but the scene after that, where we get to meet Annabelle Lee. We get to meet Roderick's first wife. Presumably, there's 2 children in that apartment they're living in. Presumably, that's Frederick and Tamerlane, right? I don't think they specifically say their names, but I think it's safe to assume we know that there are 2 children of his marriage, and then the rest of the children are bastards. We can assume that they're the children of Annabelle Lee, who, we don't know where Annabelle Lee is in the present day. We do know that she has a poem that Edgar Allan Poe wrote named after her, and
so she's fine.
In that poem, Annabelle Lee does not do well, let's say. So she could be fine, she could be not, but we haven't seen her in the present day of the show yet. But I think this scene is really interesting, Matt. And to kind of, I think what it is doing is starting to answer the question, what the fuck happened to Roderick? Because we have the scene. And by the way, I think this is just, once again, like almost a textbook case of how you do visual storytelling, because this scene just, I really liked it. So just to set the stage a little bit, Roderick comes home. His kids are crying. It's this frantic mess of a house scene, and his sister is there. She's very uncomfortable. Madeline is, with the babies and everything. And then we do this kind of jump cut to the 3 of them sitting around a table. Obviously, it's dark now. The kids are asleep. It's quiet, and and the scene plays out. And again, I just like want to establish like what we know at this point is. Annabelle Lee is not in the picture anymore. Roderick is a hugely successful CEO of this company in Ligadone. He did successfully succeed with Ligadone. So while it seems like the pitch has failed at this point in the show, we kind of know the future, and we know that's not the case. So we have this scene, and Matt, immediately the thing that stood out to me is the blocking of the scene. So we have Roderick right in the middle. We have Annabelle Lee on his left, and we have Madeline Usher on his right. So he's literally in between these two huge totemic women in his life. And there's little details like both Roderick and Madeline are drinking bourbon, I'm guessing it is, out of like nice glasses. And Annabelle Lee is drinking a beer out of a can. And Madeline is standing up straight with her legs crossed. And Annabelle Lee is kind of hunched and leaned. And she's wearing jeans. And there's just from a set decoration and a costuming and all, like we're drawing a contrast between these 2 women. And then the scene goes on, and at first it's Annabelle talking to Roderick about maybe you should quit your job, maybe you should leave that place. You don't need it. We don't need money. We'll be fine. You 2 are smart. You'll figure it out. Money isn't everything. And that's her pitch. And then we switch to Madeline and her pitch. And her pitch is, fuck that guy. We will get what we want. If we have to go through it, we will. We won't stop at anything. We're going to change the world. And the camera, as this happens, Matt, is really interesting because we've got all these shots of these 3 people. And most of the shots in the scene are over the shoulder scenes. So when you're looking at Roderick, you see either Annabelle or you see Madeline or vice versa. But as Madeline starts her pitch, Flanagan does his push in, and she becomes the only person in the frame. She is dominating the frame. Every other character in this scene hasn't gotten their own frame yet. There's always been another character in the frame, and then she has it. Even when we cut back to Annabelle, she's reacting negatively to what Madeline is saying here. Madeline is still like taking up half the frame. Her head is taking up half the frame. But in this moment, Madeline gets the full frame, and then at the end of this moment, we cut to Roderick reacting to it, and boom, he's got the whole frame in his shot too. He's solo in the frame. So if you're trying to like visually depict this philosophical argument that the two women in his life are making to him in this moment, the way the scene is shot, it's every bit of it is telegraphing to you Madeline is winning this argument. Madeline is more convincing, and we kind of know that, and like we know that's what happens, right? Madeline is still in the picture. Annabelle Lee we haven't seen yet, one way or another. So like to start laying the groundwork for answering the question of like what happened to Roderick, his sister's influence on him is incredibly powerful. We learned that in the first episode, and we can see that continue. We can see he clearly loves Annabelle. We can see the pull and the power of Madeline as she takes over the scene. She takes over the frame. She dominates it. Yeah. And just like, mwah, I love it. I love it.
Well, she's terrifying. I love what you said about the framing. I mean, it's almost, it's a fantastic visual metaphor for the idea that he is being pulled into her frame, you know, because they are now having one conversation, and Annabelle Lee is just a person who's in the room, sort of irrelevantly. I mean, also in addition to the sort of subtext like that, Madeline does just sort of rudely diss her to her face by, you know, because Annabelle Lee tries to like compliment her and say like your algorithms are brilliant, something like that. And she's like, actually, algorithm just means like a sequence of steps, idiot.
She gives literally like the textbook definition of what an algorithm is. Yeah.
And you're like, that's not what she meant. But like, you're just getting in a dunk on her, on her well-meaning attempt to compliment you and make you feel good about yourself. Yeah. But she clearly is totally disdainful of Roderick's wife and doesn't care about her at all. And I mean, I think that's going to be the pattern with her, is she's very jealous of her brother, and meaning she wants him to herself. And he keeps having all these bastards. And I mean, I don't know, I'm going to go back to my theory from the first episode that, you know, she's the one doing all the murders. Or maybe I never said that. I don't remember if I said that or not. I
honestly don't remember.
Well, anyway, that's my theory, is that she's the one doing all the murders.
Okay. Even after you saw Carla Gugino's involvement in this week's episode?
Well, I mean, so I'm fine with us jumping around, but like Carla Gugino doesn't seem like a real person. Like she hasn't aged in 50, 30, 40 years, whatever it is.
That's just Carla, man. She's incredible.
Fair enough. But like she's also teleporting around. I know that's just Carla, but you know, she seems more like either a supernatural being or a hallucination. Sort of open to either possibility, since you know, if it were Poe, I would say supernatural being. But I feel like there's too much sci-fi in the frame of the story already for me to dismiss the idea that something is being done to people with drugs or medications to cause them to hallucinate intentionally, something like this.
Sure.
Because she doesn't seem like a human being, so that's why I don't think we're gonna just find out like, oh, it's her. It's like, what do you mean it's her? She's not a human being. So
yeah, I mean, certainly like everything that happens to Perry in this episode, like she didn't hook up the sprinkler system to a vat of chemical acid. She didn't pull the sprinklers like that. They all did that themselves.
In point of fact, she offers him a chance to stop, right? Yeah. Like in fact, not only does she not do it, but she is a presence of mercy, where she appears and says, hey, I kind of get you. You don't have to go any further than this, though. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I don't understand what you're talking about. Clearly understands what she's talking about. And then he does it. And she also offers an out to Frederick's wife.
Yes.
Who also, I got a little lost just because it's a very dark, like kind of chaotic scene. She also doesn't leave, right?
She does not. She kind of starts to, and I think she's kind of pulled back into it at the end. Yeah.
That's what it seemed like, but we didn't see her get melted.
No.
So I was just like, is that because she somehow made it out? Well, anyway, we'll see next episode, I'm sure.
Sure. Yeah. To zoom all the way back to the Annabelle Lee part, though, something I just wanted to ask you. Maybe I'm reading too much into this, but when Annabelle was going through this thing where she's like, I think she says, "I'm really proud of you both." Like, Madeline has quit her job because she's with a bunch of asshole men in tech that don't respect her. She's quit her job. Roderick made a pitch today, but it didn't go anywhere for him. But she's like, "I'm really proud of you both. You're really doing your thing." There was something about the way she said that and the writing that felt very motherly to me. Do you see what I'm saying there? That like, Annabelle, obviously, like, this is not a mother to either of them, but I think it's safe to say that both of these children have a very fucked up relationship with their mother because their mother was a very fucked up person and the way that she died was very fucked up. So just the idea that Roderick has married a woman that mothers him in certain ways, and watching the ways that Madeline reacts to that differently than Roderick does, which is part and parcel of their differing relationship with their own mother, I thought was really interesting. Do you see what I'm saying at all, or is this just me reading too much into things?
No, I mean, you pointed out the way she's costumed, the way she's holding herself. There's a very motherly vibe coming from her, just in general, and the character, overall, yeah.
Cool. Let's switch to Madeline since we're on the topic, though, because from the scene we do jump into the future. Her with her grand niece. Is it grand niece? Yes, right? Yes.
Yes, I think so.
Her grandniece Lenore, and we learned that her talk of algorithms back in the 60s or 70s has brought her to present day, where she is building an AI version of Lenore. She has 10,000 questions. Is so many questions. How long would it takes a person to answer 10,000 questions?
I mean, it would be exhausting to answer even 100 questions in a single day, right?
Yeah.
So that's 1,000 days. Or wait, no, I got that wrong. Sorry, stupid. 100 days of answering 100 questions per day, right? So
that probably actually checks out because she's been doing the journaling for 4 months. So she's been doing a daily journal every day for 4 months, I think she says. So maybe she did the daily journal and also answered about 100 questions a day.
I think this is so fascinating as a science fiction concept because, like, if you're going to try to build some kind of, clone of a person and you can't, literally scan their brain, then that's not a bad approach, honestly. Just try to understand what choices would they make, and then make a computer program that would copy those choices.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, where are we going with this? I mean, like she kind of tells us, right? She kind of tells us this is about legacy, but it's also kind of about more than legacy. It's more like immortality. It's more like I'm literally, even after I'm dead, I'm going to be haunting you with my AI, representative who is going to keep making the choices the way I would make them.
Yeah. And again, it paints a very distinct picture between Roderick and Madeline, right? And the type of people they are. Roderick thinks of his legacy as, his accomplishments, but then also probably his children, right? Like, Roderick has had a lot of children, and it is very important to him that his children get his name and benefit, and he wants to be seen as a parent to them. He's not going to do what his father did to him, although he's doing something else maybe equally bad in the end, but that's a different discussion. But Madeline, on the other hand, doesn't see this as a legacy of the things I want to leave behind. She sees this as she's subscribing to the Matt philosophy on life, which is, I just want to live forever. What are you talking about? What my legacy? I don't need a legacy if I'm just here forever. And that's what she's working towards. And that's why she has her immortality collection, which is just rare artifacts of immortality from all around the world. We see she gets her little mummy brain scooper. My
favorite part of the mummy brain scooper is she's opening it and playing with it, and then she goes, and they used to scoop out the brains, and I'm going to use it to, and then someone comes in and interrupts whatever she was going to say, and you're like,
yeah,
you're going to use,
Hold a minute.
who are you going to use that on?
I'll go say hi to Grandma. Kayla.
She probably was going to say whichever child has been talking to the feds.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. Really great moment. Again, I just really like Mary McDonnell in this role. I think she's really fantastic. I just love her performance. I love what she's doing. She plays the menace of it really well. Like she's kind of just like chatting with her grandniece, but just like talking about scooping brains out and like laughing about it while also constructing a digital copy of her. It's really fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
And watching her switch from that to when Arthur Pym comes in with the news about Perry spending and the continued investigation on which one of these kids could be the informant. Just seeing her shift from being like a version of nice aunt to scary business woman.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and talk about Perry. I know we said save it to the end, but like it's really hard not to. He's so threaded through this whole episode.
Yeah, I think most of my notes are on him anyway. So
I mean, it's his episode. Yeah. It makes sense. What a shitbag. How do you feel about Perry?
I mean, definitely complicated. I think that the way that he's introduced in this episode, I mean, we met him before, but his first moment in this episode was such a beautiful little poem of this could have been the character introduction. Let me put it that way, because we have this slow, pan over this body, this bed covered in naked bodies. It's just a portrait of excess and hedonism.
Yeah. And
he wakes up and he seems totally miserable and he's like, fuck. and that's like perfect character introduction for this guy, because he never seems to really enjoy any of this. He like all of the hedonism that he is doing appears to be trying to fill some hole that it is, completely inadequate to fill.
Yeah.
And really he just wants approval from his father. I mean, I think
and his siblings.
And his siblings, yeah. Well, I think we can safely say this after this episode. Like, we can just say this conclusively, because we're not going to learn that much more about this character. Like, he just wants approval from his family. He just wants to be loved. He's trying to be what he thinks they want him to be, but he doesn't understand that like they're not going to love him more if he's more debaucherous, just because that's the way they are. Like that's not going to make them like him. And I want to sort of comment on a couple of moments in this episode. So one of them, the first one is he has this altercation with Frederick in the meeting with the lawyers, where he shows up and it's like he's sort of effortfully trying to make an appearance for the sake of the family, but he also does a terrible job at it. And it's like he's acting the way he thinks his dad would act, which is like, oh, I'm just too good to be here. I'm just better than all of you. None of you matter. You're all ants to me. And it doesn't matter what I say. And because he thinks this is how his family is supposed to be, because they're like aristocrats who can't be touched.
Yeah.
And his brother is like, what the fuck are you doing? You're like either keep your mouth shut or say the things that the lawyer tells you to say, because this actually has consequences.
Yeah.
And he seems to have this attitude that nothing has consequences, which is actually directly addressed by Carla Gugino later in the episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
That in fact things do have consequences, and you're about to find that out.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I love that sequence. I love that sequence for a couple reasons. Like, first of all, we start on it and like it makes Frederick look really like together. Like there's a lot of interesting angles on Frederick in this episode, which again, we talked last week about how he kind of seems like a goofy, like shitty business person actually. And that's what we're told about him. And that moment starts and he's giving the line that you read at the beginning of the episode. And it's like, oh, Freddie, that's actually clever of you. And then we just learned that was he's just being fed that by Pym. And so much so that when he repeats it to Freddie or to Perry, Pym joins in halfway through as if he's like he's just Pym's mouthpiece. Like just really effective work there to kind of, but we'll talk about Freddie a little bit more. But the scene that you mentioned when we open on him laying in the bed surrounded by flesh, I just want to say for the record, like, that's also where we leave him at the end of the episode, right? The flesh has been melted horribly by the acid, but it is we leave Perry where we met him, which is surrounded by debaucherous flesh. It's a very very perfect circle there.
Love that. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, the thing I couldn't get enough of is how performative all the scenes are, which is, I think, basically what you said, right? That the hedonism, the sex obsession, the drug obsession, the wanting to throw these parties and have this carefree lifestyle. It just, it felt so performative to me, and I think you're exactly right. Why is it he's putting on a mask of what he thinks he's supposed to be. Like, I think that the interesting thing we learn about him is that his mother was a blackjack dealer on one of his yachts, right? So it's just Roderick gets drunk, hooks up with a blackjack dealer. She gets pregnant, births a kid. We don't know. We know he's, I think, 25 is what the show tells us. We don't know, like, how long he's been in this world, right? Like, was this a type of thing where he was born and immediately, like, the blackjack dealer said, "It's your son, do something with it," or is this a thing where he lived half of his life not knowing he was an usher, and then found out relatively recently or within the past decade or so that he's an usher? Like, we don't really know that, but I think it's safe to conclude that it seems like it's more the latter, right? Where he's the kind of the fresh new face in the family, relatively. Like, everyone thinks he's the kid, he's the fuck up. I think he says, "I'm the bastard's bastard," right? Like everyone's kind of grown up. They're all in their 30s, I think, and they got the idea that, like, this is it. This fortune that we're all going to get is divided by 5, and then suddenly this new one shows up, this young idiot kid shows up, and he feels that. And so I think you're right that he's desperately trying to put on a mask and an image of the person he thinks he should be. And we do learn in this episode, we'll talk about a little later, like, almost every single one of these ushers is, like, sexually fucked up, right? Yeah. So, like, it makes sense that he would latch onto this idea and run with it. But it does, like, there were so many moments that I rolled my eyes at the performative nature of it. Like the setting, like, the nipple, like the close up of his nipple as the wallpaper on his phone. It's just like, and like the making the code on his phone 666999. It's like, you're trying too hard, man. Like, come on.
Yeah. I think you and I were also laughing earlier about the eggs.
Yes.
So, like, he buys these incredibly expensive rare eggs. Here they are. And then he just eats them raw, like, and the thing about them that's supposed to be special is that they're delicious. Mm-hmm. But it's like he's just, like, choking them down like he's Rocky. And it's like, that's not, like, you're not even enjoying this. Choking down the eggs is like a metaphor for like, he's choking down the sex, he's choking down the decor and the jacket that he wears. It's all just like he's doing it for everyone else except himself. He's not enjoying it.
He's trying so hard. Yeah. He
never seems happy. Doesn't enjoy it. Doesn't enjoy the hedonism. It's a coping mechanism. I mean, I think it's, so you talked about how, all of the other siblings are also kind of, freaky in their own ways. And I was thinking about that because I don't know, man, like tell me if you read this differently, but, like, none of them really seem to be having a great time with it either.
No.
Like they all, like, if you just look at their faces, we get a couple scenes in this episode where, the siblings have their own little sexual trysts, and they're not happy. They're not even giving it, like, a lascivious little grin. They generally have a sort of dead-eyed stoicism as they begin their debauchery, and you're just like, oh, come on, at least enjoy it if you're gonna have this level of excess.
I mean, we do see Sam Sloyan kind of like uncross her legs and slide down in her chair a little bit, to the point where she's getting ready to enjoy some of this. But no, I mean, like, we don't kink shame, do what you need to do to get your rocks off, people. Right. But it does seem very specifically, like, intentionally weird. And the thing we don't know is how, like, I think the thing with any kink is, like, as long as it's consensual, whatever, like, we don't know how Bill T feels about this with Tamerlan, right? Like, I think there's a little hint in the first episode of when she just casually like is like, we're going to be busy tonight, so I canceled the girl. And he goes, oh, I didn't know there was going to be a girl.
Yeah.
That it seems like this is more for her than it is for him.
Yeah.
And then with the Camille of it all, like, again, do what you want to do. But these people are her employees, right? Like, these are her assistants that are assisting her in the office and in the bedroom. So that crosses a line where you're like, I don't know how I feel about this.
And again, none of the people in this picture actually seem happy.
Sure.
Like the husband doesn't seem happy to get, presumably, get to fuck this other woman. It's like, no, that's not an appeal to him. I mean, it's funny. I'm remembering the previous episode where the way he said, oh, I didn't know there was going to be a girl. It's decidedly not like, oh, I didn't know there was going to be a girl.
Yeah.
Like, he's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And he doesn't seem terribly comfortable in this situation either. And, the assistants, her two assistants, I don't want to say they're resistant, but they're also just kind of perfunctory about it, right? They're just
yeah. I loved that scene. So that scene, we have Camille like going through, and she's giving the explanation for why it's called the Rue Morgue. Right, but like they're talking back and forth. The two assistants are in her bedroom. We don't even realize it's her bedroom yet. They're just like in the background, out of focus. And we don't see what they're doing. They're just like back there. And then eventually we cut to them and they're taking off their clothes. And you're like, wait, what's going on here? And then the scene plays out that way. So it's a really great way to introduce us to this thing. But I agree with you. They're taking off their clothes in a very rote, perfunctory way. They don't seem very excited about this whole thing. They lay down on the bed. They're kind of stone-faced and just laying there waiting. She walks in. I mean, I think it's probably safe to say that Camille enjoys this on some level, but we don't really see that in this episode.
I mean, that it reminds me of the Perry conversation we're having, because it's like a person will do behaviors like this not because they enjoy them, but because they are compelled to, or they have they have what's the word? The concept of the hedonic treadmill. Like, they have tried everything.
Yeah.
And now they have to do stuff like this even to meet the minimum threshold of arousal. and like to go backwards would actually feel horrible, or at least would make them feel like they had lost something. So that's what I mean, I'm on the same page as you. Like, none of what we're saying is to say like, oh, these perverts, these freaks.
No.
It's like, no, the point is that even they are not enjoying themselves. I think that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, and it reveals character, right? Like Tamerlan's, she's basically cucking herself, right? And that reveals something about how she feels about power and power dynamics and what she feels. Same with Camille and what she's doing, right? Like, hers is much more of a assertion of power thing. So, I mean, we of course have entire episodes queued up for both of these women that we're going to get to spend more time with them, and the same with the rest of our characters. So there's going to be plenty more to talk about there. But yeah, I mean, like, I don't think it's an accident. Of course, it's not an accident that those sexual proclivities are introduced to us in the Prospero episode, where he is the self-proclaimed hedonist and sex-obsessed, drug-obsessed party kid.
So while we're on this topic, I have to bring in one other character, which is Frederick, because he does have this altercation with Perry, but then the fun flip side of the coin with his character is later in the episode, we see him just having a delightful, wonderful father-daughter moment, building ships in about the most wholesome thing that anyone in this family has ever done.
Name it the grandpa.
He's doing with his daughter. And then it's his wife, actually, who is seduced away by Perry to go to this party where presumably she's going to die, and then he's going to find out about this, and it's going to be horrible for him. And I thought that was pretty interesting, because it's like, are we meant to infer, this is a bit of a leap, okay, but like, are we meant to infer that while the other characters are like sexually oversexed, Frederick is actually maybe undersexed, and she feels unfulfilled sexually.
Yeah.
And that's why she does this. Now
Yeah.
I do feel like it's a stretch, because it's like, well, they have a daughter, so
sure,
something's happening. But it was a thought that popped into my head, though. It's like, he's so wholesome, especially when contrasted with all of his other siblings. We even have, just to put a bow around it, we have the moment where Raul Coley's character, whose
Napoleon.
name is Leo, is super supportive, super nice. I would actually go so far as to say, an enabler, which is, but he's like, of course I have Viagra. And it's like, even after saying I don't need Viagra, it's like, you probably don't actually, but you're so like addicted to this lifestyle that you've got a stockpile of Viagra.
I have a reputation to uphold, is what he says.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, gosh, I want to talk about both Frederick and Leo there. To zoom back to Frederick, I agree with you. Like, first of all, I think part of the reason I'm agreeing with you is that like this whole rave scene is just so not my scene, that like that party looks so miserable to me and unfun. Like, especially one of my favorite lines is when Frederick's wife, like when she first sees Perry, she's like, there's only one bartender back there. I've been waiting for a drink for 20 minutes. And all I'm thinking about is how people paid $25,000 to go to this party, and you have to wait 10-20 minutes to get a drink. That looks terrible. So by contrast, I agree with you that the Frederick making a ship in a bottle with his daughter, which you are correct, was picked because it is this classically wholesome but boring thing, right? Like to a person who, like, that's one of the avenues of attacks that Perry had, is that Frederick is boring. He's a boring guy. He's plain. He's boring. He doesn't want to live life to its fullest, and in Perry's estimation, that just means doing drugs constantly and fucking every person you see.
It feels relevant that not only were they building a ship in the bottle, but there were like many ship in the bottles in that room. Yeah. Right. And it's like,
and importantly, this was for Grandpa, right? Yeah. This was a ship. So like, I think one of the things we are seeing with Frederick is he is primarily motivated by what will please his father.
Yeah.
More than anything.
Yeah. And I'm we were laughing about him having a bowling alley in the living room, in the kitchen area in the last episode, but that to me is just another note of wholesomeness, right? It's like, it's all okay. I mean, it seems obvious now, but like where Perry is doing performative debauchery, he's doing performative wholesomeness.
Sure.
He's like, look at how not a sleazebag I am compared to all my sleazebag, disgusting debaucherous siblings.
Yeah.
Don't you love me more? I mean, that's what it is, right? Not just approval. He wants to be the one that his dad loves the most.
Yeah. And we know he's completely complicit in everything that his dad and his company does, because he's the one of the kids that is like, he's the firstborn son, right? Like, he works for Fortunato. He's with his dad. If there's something going on here, which there is, he knows about it. And that's, we kind of see that a little bit here with all these abandoned chemical plants that are not up to code. And if Perry was listening, he would have heard that woman list off things, which includes one site has such a high acidic content, and then that she's interrupted. It was like, oh, that was the one. But so, yeah, I think it's fair. Like, we don't want to paint Perry or Frederick as he's the only good one, which is not. It's not what we're saying at all, right? Is that his? I like what you said. His performance, his role, that his mask is different. And his mask is boring the shit out of his wife. So, yeah, I mean, what their sex life is like, don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if not very active. As I said, Frederick primarily concerned with his father and what his father thinks of him.
Yeah.
More so than it seems his wife. But, I mean, he does, like, that is a great father-daughter moment, though. I agree with you. Like, Lenore is a sweetheart. He clearly loves Lenore, or maybe it's just his grandfather calls Lenore one of his two favorite women. So maybe it's just, by being a good father, I am showing to my father that I am Yeah.
I mean, he seems to be authentically sweet to his wife and daughter. Like we see that in the first episode, we see that in this episode.
Sure.
He's kind of pathetic, but that doesn't mean he's a monster. Like his raging at Perry in this episode, I think is contrasted with him being nice to his daughter and wife. And like we're meant to say like, okay, well, like there's layers to this guy. He really dislikes these bastards, I think, because of what it's sort of an attack on his ego of like, my dad considers all of these, in his mind, these inferior bastards to be on a level with me, his firstborn and true son. And this is like, this just grates on him, obviously.
Yeah. I am the firstborn son. I am the heir apparent. This is all mine. And I wonder, we haven't seen a lot of his incompetence in the show so far, but we've been told about it quite a bit by some of the other characters. So I wonder if some of that is the insecurity of kind of knowing I am the firstborn son. This is all supposed to be mine. But on some level, I know that I kind of suck, maybe. And I'm not good at, my skills are not these particular things. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm always fascinated by the way this works. I like just the fact that like a family will begin with some enormous level of wealth, and then you look at that family 100 years later, and it is basically the average member of that family is slightly well off at best. And it's just interesting because you would think like, aren't there some skills that you can pass down? I mean, you're not only are you passing down the money, but shouldn't you be passing down some skills? And it's like they spend all the money and they don't pass down the skills, and they just end up back to baseline. And this is like the norm, actually. There's very few of the like rich robber baron families of the 19th century that actually are still rich today.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's people like Frederick. I mean, it's also people like Perry, who, like, what is Perry doing with his life, right? Like, his pitch to his father is this stupid nightclub idea, which we learn in this episode is like, this is actually the business. It's just, so again, like the whole idea of this whole hedonism and sex and drugs shit being performative is like textually revealed in the show when he is looking at everything on security cameras and said, this is the real business. We're just going to blackmail these people. And that's how I'm going to succeed. And it's like, oh, so everything you said was just bullshit, actually.
I wasn't clear on if that was his plan or if he just kind of came up with that while he's watching on the security cameras.
Yeah, and either way, right? It reveals his true nature, I think.
Exactly. And I was also thinking, like, if he hadn't been killed in this freak acid accident, then somebody would have bumped him off soon, because you can't be blackmailing people on that caliber and like doing it, repeatedly. Like, to say that's the business, it's like, oh, so you're going to repeatedly lure ultra powerful people into compromising positions and just expect that that's going to keep working.
Yeah. It's a bad idea. It's a bad idea. This is actually, to turn back to Leo again for a second. This is one of the things that I did find the most fascinating, because you are correct that Leo is very supportive of him. He compliments him, like he says to him, "This is beneath you, and you're going to kill it, because you're awesome, but you're better than all this." And that's really interesting, because I guess we kind of just have to take Leo's word for that. I will say, to give Perry credit, he basically stands up an entire exclusive multi-million-dollar party in like 36 hours. So like, that's no small undertaking, although, he's rich. So he just, you have enough money, you can basically do anything, right?
Right.
That's the whole, whoever has the gold makes the rules bit that is one of the through lines of this episode. So like, he does seemingly get 100 people to sign up for this exclusive $20,000 club and $5,000 at the door thing that he creates. It's like, it's not like the reveal is that nobody came because he's incompetent and can't set this up. He pulls it off. So like, I guess that's where we see Leo support of him. And part of that is, I think we don't know a whole lot about Leo, but these are the two bastard men of the family, they relate to each other. I mean, they're basically the same guy, right? Because they played the same person in the Midnight Club.
Yeah,
so
true.
So there's a lot of, I think, familiarity there. Leo understands what he's going through a lot, and wants to kind of help guide him and support him. I mean, that's like, we don't know a lot about Leo yet, but this is something I intentionally pulled out to you in last week's episode, that every single one of the siblings shit talks Perry and says that Perry's definitely the one that was doing the leak. And Leo is the only one that doesn't do that. And this is why, right? Like he is kinder to him. He sees him more than anyone else. So that leaves us at an interesting place with Leo, where we don't quite know what to do with him yet.
Yeah, there's lots of, I think we talked about this last week, there are lots of different lines of both conflict and alliance between characters that are, I think, going to play out interestingly as they begin to die. I mean, I think Leo is going to be very sad that his brother died. I think, like, and that's going to be a thing that humanizes him and makes him complex. Like when we met him, we didn't like him very much. He was being very selfish and, sort of thoughtlessly hedonistic in the same way that we see Perry being, but he does actually care about his brother and seems to have positive relationships, I think, with at least some other members of his family. I think that was if I recall, our comment about last week was like, nobody really seemed to have it in for Leo the same way that people generally are at each other's throats.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I mean, we have Camille and Victorine kind of butting heads. Frederick and Tamerlan seem to not really love each other very much. And then everyone kind of hates Perry. And Leo, I mean, he is the middle child. So this is the middle child symptom, that you just kind of chill out in the middle.
Mm-hmm. I think one of our comments might have been like, that's the gamer persona is sort of a slacker stand-in. It's like, I'm just a gamer. Yeah. I'm just gaming. I'm no threat. I'm not trying to be super wholesome. I'm not trying to be super anything. I'm just chilling here. Yeah. Which maybe even is a strategy, right? Like if you see them all as having their own strategy to appeal to their father and maybe get a little bit of preferential treatment. Yeah. Like one attitude that you could legitimately have in this family is like, okay, all these people are cutthroat and insane. So my strategy is going to be super chill. So nobody hates me. So when they all stab each other in the back, nobody will stab me in the back, and I'll come out of the whole thing smelling like daisies, So I don't know. We'll see.
I'm a middle child, and this is my entire strategy for life. This is how I've gotten by in every situation I've ever been in my entire life. I'm never the top, but I'm never the bottom. Yeah. I'm just floating in the middle somewhere.
And then you come out of it when the guy on top and the guy on the bottom have strangled each other to death.
Exactly.
It's great.
Yeah. I win. I think we're gonna have a lot more to talk about Leo in the future. That's great. Yeah. Since we're like going child or usher to usher, I do want to stop briefly at Camille again a little bit. Like, we talked to Kate a few months ago, and I maybe you're now starting to understand kind of the chuckling with which I talked to her about when she was talking about this character in particular, because Jesus, she really just went for it, and it's all where like every part of it's working for me. Like the ridiculously silver hair, the dress she wears in this episode that has like the loose like garter connection things hanging down. Her just having the #1 boss mug was just pitch perfect.
Yeah.
Just everything about what Kate Siegel is doing with this character, I'm obsessed with. I think she's phenomenal. It's so fun. You can tell, like, this is a very interesting character. She's a very angry character, but like, I think we've watched enough Kate Siegel to be like, she's having the fucking time of her life playing this character.
Yeah, hers is one where I'm very curious, right? Because it's like we're setting up with her that she is sort of actively surveilling people.
Yeah.
In a way,
she's the PR rep for the Usher family, so like it's kind of her job to know what everyone's doing and trying to mitigate everything for everyone. But she's I know exactly what you're gonna say. Yeah.
She's trying to mitigate, but she's also scheming, and she's using the information for her own benefit. And she's aware that the monkey trials aren't going well, with the Rue Morgue. So she's going to go show up and gather more information, I expect. I wonder how that's going to go for her.
Shh, we don't know.
No, I don't know. I don't even know why I said that.
Yeah.
No, that she's great. The moment, I think one of the moments that jumped out to me, we're just talking about the interesting seeds being planted, is when she's staring at so first she's watching Built Nation, and she has like a expression of like, oh my god, like, I can't believe this. And then later in private she's watching it and she like turns it off quickly. When the
her
others come in.
assistants show up, and she's doing the and then the immediately turns it off when they show up. Yeah.
And I was kind of like, I mean, I don't want to read too much into it. There's like my first reaction was honestly just like, I think she kind of finds it charming and enjoys it. And then I was also like, well, maybe she kind of finds him hot, and that's another line of potential conflict. Anyway, I wasn't sure whether that was going to be like a one-off joke or whether we were going to like return to that as a huge thing, but we'll see.
No, I mean, I picked up on that too. So I think it's there. And given what happens with Perry and Roderick's wife in this episode, like the mixture between sexual messiness between spouses and siblings, I think is there. So sure, let's say it's there somewhere.
Yeah.
As a once again, I just want to point out via this scene with Kate, the way in which they're putting every single Edgar Allan Poe thing they can in this show. We're not going to talk about all of them because frankly, we're not going to notice all of them. But when
we're looking,
Camille says, everywhere. Toby, damn it.
Toby,
she says, Toby, damn it. And like, that's, she says it a couple times throughout the episode. Toby, damn it, Toby. There's a short story written by Edgar Allan Poe called Never Bet the Devil Your Head. And the main character of that show is a character named Toby Dammit. That's his name. So even that, even Camille saying Toby Dammit to her assistant Toby is an Edgar Allan Poe reference.
That's fantastic.
Incredible.
I didn't know that, by the way, about Toby Dammit.
I didn't either until I was like, man, just the way she says it and the way it refrains multiple times. I was like, I got to look this up. There we go. Yeah.
Cool.
I want to talk about, okay, we're supposed to do this at the beginning of the show, but I forgot. I want to do a quick mea culpa, and it's going to lead us into what I want to talk about next. So there was a scene in the first episode, and the interesting thing about this, Matt, is we're recording this 2 days before our first episode comes out. So our listeners have not even heard me make this mistake, but they're going to, and we're going to get a bunch of emails, and we can't stop it, but I'm just going to say it here. Last week, there was that wonderful moment where Roderick is talking to Dupont, and he says to him, why are you talking about your mother? And it's like, oh, because she's right behind you. And then we hold on this profile shot as Dupont refuses to turn around. And then finally we cut to see behind his back, and there's nothing there, is what I said. But there is, and she is 100% there. And I missed it. What I want to blame on is I was watching this on my television. All 3 watches were on my television with sunlight glaring in, and she's on the left side of the frame in the background, very, very dark. And she just kind of stands there. And at some point she walks off the frame, but she's there. Even when I like took the screenshot and sent it to you, like you struggled to see her there. So yeah, she's there. Sorry.
Did we just forget to do the whole announcement section that we both had?
We totally did.
That's hilarious.
Did. Yeah, we were so excited to talk about the show. We just forgot it.
Yeah, because we had other announcements. Oh, well.
I want to say, for the record, that we caught this because our editor, Jason, sent me an email the day after I sent him the file that was like, hey, did you know that Roderick's mother is there in the background? She's right there. And he sent me a screenshot with a circle around it and was like, do you want me to just cut out the part where you say the thing that's wrong? And I just want you people at home to know that I said, no, leave it in. Let our listeners see me be stupid. So there we go.
Yeah.
That's for you guys.
It's far more fun this way.
Yeah. I did ask him to make some edits to it to like point out that I was wrong in the episode. So if you're watching the video episode, you got to see that. But I bring all this up because in this episode we do the same thing again, right? Where Roderick's son Perry is in the background, and eventually comes into the foreground. He's actually in the background earlier than the part where he starts moving forward. You see him a little bit in the background over Dupon's left shoulder, and then in the scene where we cut back to them with the whoever has the goal makes the rule part. We see him there more clearly, and then that's when he steps forward and eventually steps right in front of Roderick. That scene is terrifying. I love it so much. I actually what I wanted to say about it, Matt, is like the way the camera moves in this scene accentuates the creepiness of it, because you have this moment where Dupon's sitting there. We see Perry behind him. He starts moving up, and the camera's moving. So the camera's kind of like moving this way as Perry walks forward past Dupon's chair, and the camera keeps moving. And then we cut to Roderick's side, and we don't see Perry anymore, right? Like the logic of the scene says, okay, he's walking past the edge of the frame. When we cut to a different angle with the next part of the frame, he should be entering frame left at that moment, and he doesn't. And it's like you're kind of freaking out because you're like, where'd it go? Where did this monster acid Perry go? And then that's when we do the thing where we cut to the straight on shot of Roderick, and then he opens his eyes and Perry's right there in front of him, and it's this great scare moment. That shooting it that way, Matt, was born, I think, of the fact that Bruce Greenwood came in very late and they had to reshoot all his stuff at the very end of the shoot. So what I honestly think it is they just didn't have either of those other two actors there in that moment, right? Or they definitely didn't have Perry in that scene. And even if they did, even if he was available, you're going to put him in what is probably hours of makeup for this one moment where we see him walk across the frame. So when we cut to Roderick, we can't have Perry in the same frame with him. We can't do it because these were filmed at different times. And so we have to invent this scene in which he should be in frame but disappears, and then we use it to build to a scare. And all this to be said, that is how limitations sometimes breed cool moments, because it is, in my estimation, a much scarier scene when you're like, he should be in frame right now. Why isn't he in frame? Where did he go? And then we build to that moment.
Yeah. And
that's all happened because of Bruce Greenwood needing to come in the 11th hour.
Yeah, I think that's a cool idea. I agree. I thought it was a very affecting shot.
Yeah.
Sequence
so cool.
Of shots. But
yeah.
I mean, I think maybe my favorite shot in the sequence is Bruce Greenwood's reaction to this terrifying visage suddenly being red in his face. I thought that was great.
Yeah,
I like the recurring motif, I guess, where he kept being cut off before he could finish his sentence by like some memory or some interjection of a hallucination.
Yeah, he never actually says whoever has the gold makes the rules.
Yeah.
He never actually finishes the line. We only get to see the punchline of the joke because we get a shot of the comic as we go back in time to the 1970s, which I think is intentional, right? I think, by the way, I think that is part of what the show is saying. This belief that if you have enough money, you are above anything and everything. You are above consequences, right? Let's turn back to what Verna says to Perry at the end of the thing is like everything has consequences. So this idea of whoever has the gold makes the rules, Verna is standing in direct opposition of that. What happens to Perry and we know is going to happen to every other Usher child, and what is going to lead Roderick Usher to sit down here with his greatest enemy and divulge all his secrets to him, is that you didn't have enough money to stop this, that there are things in life that the idea that whoever has the gold makes the rules is wrong.
Yeah.
Ultimately wrong.
Yeah.
Even if it sometimes feels right, even if for 40 years it feels like that's the truth, but everything has consequences and your consequences are coming due now.
Yeah. Yeah. And the main story that connects with would be, the Masque of the Red Death, which is obviously what this episode is named after. So,
yep.
But I think that is going to resonate through the whole show for sure.
Yep. And it's great.
What? Just because this occurs to me now, and there's no better time to say it. The whole 6-7 thing was weird. It was very weird to me because I kept thinking like the meme, because I have children. I have Gen Z children, but it happened so many times in the episode, and this show definitely happened before the 6-7 meme.
7.
So I was like, this is not a reference to the 6-7 meme. This is something else. Why do we keep saying?
Because Arthur has the power
Somebody
of
says
6 or
there's 7, and
attorneys.
then it's like, no, there's 6. And I was like, is it the number of Usher children? Is there a secret Usher child? Like what? Like is there some deep hidden thing happening with people saying 7 and then it's actually 6? Because it happens at least twice. And it's like, this is a script, okay? These aren't human beings making a slip of the tongue. The mistake was written down. So what's the consequence of this?
Well, obviously, Mike Flanagan invented the 6-7 meme, and this is the origin point of all of it, and that's
Possibly.
what you're seeing here. Yeah.
I mean, so my actual thought was like, I was trying to count up Usher children, and I couldn't quite decide where to go from there,
Sure.
So
I mean, there are 6 Usher children, right?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, so for those that don't remember, the thing that Matt is talking about is when Perry and Frederick are having their confrontation in the office. Frederick tells him, "Do you know how many lawyers they brought?" And he goes, 7. And this is a great way, again, a great way of like undercutting Frederick and showing how he's not up on his game. Pym is behind him, and he actually says 6.
yeah.
Do you know how many attorneys they brought? 7. And then Pym just says 6. So he's wrong.
I thought it happened again later when somebody's talking about the house, not the house, the venue they're going to have the party in, and somebody does another thing where somebody says 6 or 7, and I was like, why do we keep saying?
That's actually in the same scene, and it's because Perry is like needling Frederick. So
Okay.
what he says is like, do you know how many lawyers they brought? 7, and he actually says 6, and he's like, well, we only brought 1 because our lawyer is as good as 6 or 7 of their best lawyers. And then Perry says back to him, weren't you the one that was supposed to demolish those buildings 6 or 7 months ago? So he's using that to kind of needle him.
I see. Okay.
But I mean, I think the number 6 occurs a lot here, right? There are 6 Usher children. I mean, just looking at my notes right now, I just happen to see that like it's 6 months till she says that Victorine says to her father that the heart mesh she's working on will be viable for human testing in 6 months is what Roderick is demanding of him. So I think there is a lot of repetition around the number 6. I mean, we have 666, we have 69 in this episode already. So
yeah,
I think you're picking up on that. But no, it is Mike Flanagan invented the meme. I can't believe your kids didn't know that. It's kind of ridiculous.
I'm going to tell them. that Mike Flanagan invented 6-7. They can tell their friends. We can make this a thing.
Maybe that either finally kills it, or it just breeds new life, and we're just never rid of it.
Yeah.
Which one do you think?
I think it'll breathe new life. It'll never die.
I think you mentioned hallucinations, and so we should mention we learn here about Catacil, which is the disease that Roderick has that is killing him. It's leads to dementia and hallucinations, and so you can kind of tell Roderick has just decided that the things that he's seeing, his mother, his son, all 6 of his children at the church, is his disease that is killing him. And the show doesn't come right out and say this, but I think we can maybe assume that the frantic doctor visit right before his dinner with his kids in the first episode, where his doctor had to tell him something, and then we see a kind of shell-shocked Roderick right after that. We can maybe assume that the news was regarding this disease he has, possibly.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. And then we know that so the heart mesh that Victorine is working on is not just about her developing some new technology that's going to help a lot of people, but developing new technology that will specifically help prolong Roderick's life.
Yeah. I do wonder if we're not going to factor in this concept of weird, South American zombie powder into like what's going on with Roderick, right?
Possibly, yeah.
I mean, it's definitely not an element that we're just going to be like, that was there for no reason.
Yeah. It's possible. One of the things I want to pay attention to as we go through this show is perhaps the ways in which the children of Roderick Usher are like representing a lot of his character traits and flaws and stuff like that. I mean, I think we can't like say that Roderick Usher was hedonistic, but we can say that Roderick Usher has 6 children from 5 different women, right? We can say that. And so it seems like whatever happened to Annabelle Lee, probably not good, based on the poem. He has spent the rest of his life sleeping around quite a bit. And who knows how many other Ushers there might be out there. We don't know. So I just wanted to flag that as something we can pay attention to as we go through the other children. Do they reflect parts of his personality, parts of his flaws and faults and things like that?
Yeah. I mean, just off the top of my head, I like the idea that sort of being an obsequious people pleaser doesn't seem like the modern Usher, but it does seem like the younger one. I mean, you know, back in the day, and that is kind of like he is sort of enthralled to his sister in the way that all of his children are enthralled to him.
Yeah. Can I tell you like the only part of the episode that I did not like?
Sure.
I did not like the part where Camille is talking about how the Rue Morgue got its name. It's the only part. Like we're doing so much Poe stuff in the show, and I think so much of it is so cleverly introduced and hidden in some ways and just spelled out in other ways. That just felt a little clunky to me, of just like, by the way, the episode 3 is called Murder in the Rue Morgue. So like that's the 3rd episode. So we need to set this up before we get into that episode. And it was just like, they called it the Rue Zoo for Roderick, he put his name on it, RUE, and it was the Rue Zoo, but we knew it was the Rue Morgue. I don't know. I'm being a little shit, but I just didn't, it felt like it was trying too hard to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe what you're saying is we could have just had some character refer to it as the Rue Morgue, and then, but the problem there is I feel like people would be like, huh?
I mean, maybe this was a note. So. Like this does have the feel of a note to me. And I'm not going to blame every time I don't like something on a note, but hey, it's worked so far.
Yeah. Well, why not?
But like, for me, it would be enough that like cut to the building that Victorine works at and see that the initials are RUE, and I was just oh. And then the episode starts. Like, you don't have to call it, you don't have to textually call it the Rue Morgue for me to understand what we're doing with taking the short story Murder at the Rue Morgue and working it into this story. You know what I mean?
I do, but I also sometimes like having things spelled out. So I don't know.
I mean, I will say it does work though. Like that this is something that, first of all, the idea that this was before Roderick learned not to put his name on things is a fun note, and that they've been like, that this was a animal testing facility for a long, long time, and they've been just mercilessly cruel to these animals for a long time. It sets up all that information. Yeah. So it does serve that purpose. So
I mean, specifically, I just thought that was a fantastic bit of storytelling, like to show us in stride, like this was a man who used to take pride in who he was and what he was doing.
Yeah.
And he would put his name on the things that he built to represent him.
Yeah.
And to stand for him. And then at a certain point, he realized that his legacy was actually death and poisoning people. And he stopped putting his name on things. And that's a great background element of storytelling, I think.
Yeah. I mean, there was a moment before we started the project that I was thinking about the fact that the name of this company is Fortunato Pharmaceuticals. It is not Roderick Usher Pharmaceuticals or even Usher. Like they didn't name the company after them, like a certain commander-in-chief we have that names everything after himself constantly. Like, you would think the Ushers, this kind of powerful family, would want to put their name on everything, but they don't put their name on anything.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff. So yeah, the little minor complaint of mine, but I've come back around to liking it because of what you just said. So
excellent. That's why we're both here.
So going to the masquerade itself, we've already talked about this a little bit, but let's zoom back here. Once again, I just don't think this looks any fun to me at all. Like, I actually have a friend who like is really into the rave scene, and he like has this I don't know what it's called. It's like a big towel that he like spins at raves. And he doesn't use drugs. Well, he does, but he doesn't use drugs when he's at raves for some reason, because he just likes the music, which is insane to me. But like, he'll just send me videos of him at a rave, like spinning his towel, and I'm just like, that looks miserable. Like, it looks loud. Like, it's just not my scene.
Yeah,
it's just not my scene at all.
I don't even like going to like just a normal nightclub, to say nothing of an actual rave. Like, it's just, I don't know. Maybe there's something wrong with my brain. I'm genuinely open to the idea that I sensorially can't abide environments like that, and maybe other people can, and that's just totally fine for them. But
yeah, I mean, that's what I tell him, is like, that looks like an awful time, buddy, but I'm glad you glad you had fun. And that's this whole scene looks for me. It just, like, I'm looking around, it's like, this looks terrible. But everyone seems to be having a great time, I guess,
yeah.
I loved the scene with Verna, though. I love the scene where he follows her up. She shows up. It's Carla Gugino. She's gorgeous. She's wearing the skull mask, which is great. And then she sits down on the bed, and they have this exchange. And I just think it's that line, "You are consequential, Perry," or "Consequence, Perry, and tonight you are consequential." Just
Perry.
Love that. I love the writing, the idea that, like you said, she's trying to get him to stop this. Like, go stop it. Just, you could stop. Like, I can't remember exactly what she says, but the idea that, like, almost getting there is sweeter than the feeling you have of after getting there. Which is also like a like, it's talking about sex again, right?
Yeah.
Like, the idea of, like, there's a whole thing with that. But he can't do it.
That's basically the last thing I have in my notes, is just to reiterate that point that she gives him an out. She's gonna, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see her show up toward the end of every episode to kind of give each character an out, to say, hey, you don't have to, this next step you're about to take, I know it's in your nature to take it, but it's just reinforcing the same pattern of self-destruction that you've been doing your whole life. You don't have to do it. And then, of course, we kind of already know that they're all going to do it. So,
yeah. So who is Verna, and why are all the Usher children dying, Matt?
Well, I mean, I think it's okay that I can't really answer that definitively, right? Because like I strongly suspect that Verna like was a real human being who the Usher, matriarch and patriarch siblings, if that works, met. I think she was probably a real person in that flashback. Maybe not, though. Maybe she's a sort of a spirit of second chances or something.
Okay.
And because the thing is, it's hard for me to square her not having aged, unless it's like, if she was a real person, then her appearance now either has to be some kind of supernatural projection or ghost, or and then if it's a hallucination, it's like, it's a pretty damn consistent hallucination to look like a woman who Perry has never seen before. It doesn't make sense. Like, nothing quite makes sense. And so I'm forced to just say, we need more information to figure this out.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, and I think it's not, I'm like, you've missed something huge, Matt, you idiot. No, I'm just asking the question because we don't know yet. But I'm just curious what your thoughts on her and what is actually happening here are going to do as we go through everything.
Cool.
I think it's also worth pointing out that we have this really interesting inconsistency with the Usher children and their last names, right? So obviously Frederick and Tamerlan are named Usher. Both Camille and Victorine have different names. It's Camille L'Espagne. I think that's how you pronounce it. And Victorine Lafourcade. But Leo and Perry are just Leo Usher and Perry Usher. So that's interesting, right? Why the difference there? Is it when they were identified as Usher children? Was it just a choice they made that both Camille and Victorine chose to retain their names, or both Leo and Perry chose to take up that name when they took up that mantle?
Yeah, I mean, I do know that I think maybe the first thing I jump to is that since they're the sons, then they would be the ones who would carry the name forward. Whereas for the women, if they have children, they're probably not going to give the surname to the children in the same way. I mean, there are no rules to this stuff, but that's just kind of how it tends to go, right?
Sure.
So
that makes sense. Maybe even it's like, you're a woman, so I will not allow you, this is Roderick, to have my name. Like, maybe I will give that name to the men of my family, but not to the women. Yeah. I don't know. I did just want to point out that young Dupont, 1970s, is played by a man named Malcolm Goodwin, who was also on a show called iZombie with Rahul Kohli. So I wonder if he had a hand in picking this guy to be cast in this part. Cool. I love him. He's great. He's great in this role. His speech, everything we get to see at the beginning with him investigating what is very clearly Fortunato Chemicals, like digging up and stealing the bodies of dead people that have died via their drug trials because they're hiding that their drug is killing people. Yeah, which is a very Follow the House of Usher thing. Remember, like that Usher was very worried about burying his sister because she was going to be dug up and researched on. So it's another Poe connection there. Perfect. Yeah.
I was just trying to figure where did I see him from, and the answer is Reacher.
Oh yeah,
which sounds kind of like Usher, but it's not. It's a different name.
So what? Speaking of Dupont, really quick, like, how are you feeling about him right now? Like, the word I was looking for is nemesis, by the way. That word, like an hour ago, that I just couldn't remember. It was nemesis.
I thought you might have meant foil, but nemesis is good.
That works too. That's a good. Any word other than me saying no words at all would have been better.
Well, I mean, I continue to have the position of, like, he's kind of doing the Columbo thing where he's like acts like, oh, come on, Roderick, you can't possibly think that anything unusual could be going on here. And it's like he knows everything already because he's really smart, and he's just trying to draw it out of Roderick so that he I think I probably said this last time, but like typically in this situation, he knows 95%. He needs that last 5%.
Sure.
So he's trying to draw it out of him, and get a confession, obviously.
Okay, I like that. Do you think so? I can't ask this question yet. We just don't know enough about him yet. Okay. So I'll just hold off on that. Okay. Do you want to talk about Victorine at all? Matt just bumped his mic. If anyone's curious, we might edit that out. We might not. I don't know.
Yep. I'll do it again. So stay on your toes.
Victorine is lying to her father about the success of their trials on this heart mesh thing. It's not working at all. The monkeys are dying. She's pumping adrenaline into the monkey to keep it alive. It's not working. What's going on with her? What do you think? How do you feel about her so far?
Well, she seems to be, out of all of the kids, the only one who just like legitimately tried to play it fair, like, yeah,
like actually doing the thing her dad asked of them. Yeah.
I'm going to actually, her dad, like the company, right? The company made its money initially in medical devices, which is a noble profession. The guy, the previous guy who ran the company was complaining endlessly about how much of a pain the medical industry is in general, but basically said medical devices are easier than drugs, which frankly surprised me to hear.
Is that true? Yeah, is that true?
I don't know. I have no idea. But
I mean, we're pretty strict on our drugs, but I would also think we're pretty strict on our medical devices.
Well, maybe it was more true in the 70s. I mean,
I think those devices were probably infinitely less complex in the 70s. So yeah, you're probably right.
I don't know. I mean, I was like, that's an interesting. So the reason I bring that up is it felt like, well, we're sort of pitching a ball forward to be caught in this present timeline where we have the Usher child who's working on the medical devices.
Yeah.
So she's trying to do it that way.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing about science is that it doesn't really help to have somebody yelling at you and giving you deadlines. Like the answer is what it is. Like if you say I needed to be, I need you to figure this out by a certain date. It's just like I need you to grow wings. Like I don't like there's no amount of pressure that you can put on me that will change the answer, right? That's how science is. You can tell I'm triggered, Scott, the trauma of my early career as a scientist.
I think it's probably also true in this whoever has the goal makes the rule thing that, I mean, obviously more money always like helps with additional scientific research, but like there are some problems that you can't just throw more money at that will magically make a thing that's not working suddenly work.
Because it's possible that it's conceptually flawed, right? It's not like, oh, you just forgot to, turn it clockwise. It's like, no, maybe this mesh concept is just a bad idea and it will never work.
Yeah.
And she's in the position of like, well, this is her thing though. This is the thing that he has invested in her. Yeah. And if she fails at this, then she is the failure. She has, it's not just a medical trial. It's a parent-child thing. It's her chance at her deserved Usher nest egg and inheritance potentially, right? It's catastrophically consequential. So she's going to be motivated to fake it, to lie, to falsify things. And I think she's going to do that. I mean, she's just going to do something unethical that she shouldn't do. That's going to be her thing. Okay. We haven't seen her cross that line yet, but she's being pushed up toward it.
Sure. Yeah. And I think it like this really falls in line with something Perry says early in the episode. And I think this is one of the things I just kind of agree with him on when he's talking about this thing his father does with all his kids that like, he gives them all their first big loan, their first big chance to do something to change the world in their own way. And he sees this as this gift that he's bestowing upon people with the Usher name. But Perry sees it as a trap, a mouse trap, a curse, something that binds them to him and keeps them there. And keeps him in control of them. And I absolutely think that's just kind of what it is, especially for a bastard child like Victorine, who just probably feels like her connection to both this money and I think this love. Like, I think Roderick looks at these children and say, the only thing they want from me is my money. The only thing that they're more concerned about is their inheritance. I think that's true to a certain extent, but I also think these are kind of very broken people that are very desperate for love. And Roderick dangles that in front of them as a incentive to do the things that he wants them to do. Like, I mean, we do learn in this episode that Roderick needs this heart mesh technology because of this genetic disease he has, right? How long did Roderick learn that he had this disease? Did Victorine want to get into heart mesh technology, or did he push her into this path because he needed it? We don't know, right? Like, so this idea of Roderick in the first episode, this thing is like, I'm not going to be like my father. If I have a child, I'm going to take that child in. I'm going to give them my name. I'm going to give them access to me. I'm going to love them. I'm going to provide for them. I'm going to take care of them. And like that comes off as very noble, but the way we see it in action is these kids all live in this constant state of fear. Yes, they are very privileged. Like even Perry, he hasn't even gotten his first loan yet, but look at his apartment, right? He's living like a king anyway. But it is this constant state of, if you displease me, I can take this all away from you. And not just this, but my love as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's exactly right. Like if you give somebody like a huge generous allowance, but you don't actually give them their inheritance, then you have sort of ruined them. Because they rationally conclude, like, I'm never going to make this much money on my own. It's not practical. So I just need to like hang on and stay in the good graces of the people in charge until I can get that inheritance, which may be decades, right? It may be most of your life, right? You never know. And I've always thought this is like a kind of a subtly messed up thing about our society that many people are in this situation one way or another, you know, to a greater or lesser extent, right? I don't know. I just think, I think Perry's just correct. Like he is correctly identifying the trap that he is in, but that doesn't help him to get out of it, really.
Yeah, no, he gladly still springs the trap because he's desperate for approval from everyone. Yeah. Some other things I just wanted to ask: how do you feel about Roderick being a poet? We learn he quotes the Annabelle Lee poem that he made for Annabelle Lee. Fortunately, he doesn't finish the poem to get to the part where she dies horribly.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're just meant to see that he has more dimensions to him, that he is more of a soft human person than he has made himself into. You know, that maybe we're going to learn that the, you know, Roderick Usher, you know, asshole persona is something that he sort of built. Because we see him working with, you know, the current guy who runs the company and trying to make a deal with him. And I don't know if we have enough data for me to say this yet, but I had this feeling while watching that scene. I was like, he's going to just model himself after this guy. Like it would have worked better if that guy had a mustache, but you know, I do kind of feel like that was the template that he's using is like, okay, I need to be a swaggering, profane, you know, self-indulgent asshole. That needs to be the character who I become to succeed in this business.
I'm glad you said that because I felt, and I should have like side by sided these scenes to compare them, but the scene in which Usher makes his pitch to Rufus Griswold, Michael Trucco's character, and the scene in which Victorine is talking to her father about the results of the drug or the heart mesh trial, I felt like a lot of those scenes were filmed very similarly. And I felt like Roderick Usher's office was made like it's definitely in a different building. It's in a higher floor. It like doesn't look like the 1970s anymore. So it's decorated differently. But like I got a feeling of comparison between the two scenes and I don't know if that was just a stylistic choice or from like a directing perspective, or it was we are showing Roderick has now assumed the position that his boss was in, and he has. And I like what you said, maybe not even assume the position, but modeled himself and his life off of this person.
Yeah.
Who he said, like he insults and calls an idiot. I mean, we'll see what happens there. Like we know Ligadone, like they do go to market with it, right? Yeah. Like that's their big drug. Right. That's the thing that makes them billionaires. So yeah, I don't know.
And we also know that him and his sister almost certainly murdered someone. So one possibility is that they killed this guy.
Well, everything changed on New Year's Eve, 1990 or 1979. So.
That's right.
No,
that's right. They pendulumed him. Pendulumed him.
We haven't talked about Juno very much. We talked about Juno a little bit last week. That we get a scene with Juno here. Juno and Lenore, and I just love Ruth Codd so much. I love this scene so much. There's moments where Ruth Codd is playing this character so different from all the other ushers that it makes her stand out in a way that I find really fantastic. Like just that whole sequence where she's telling the story of how they met, and I just loved every bit of it. And he asked me how I was liking the pills, and I told him I fucking loved the pills.
Fucking love the pills.
And I by the way, I like the line. And then he said he was the one that invented them. We know, Matt, that is not true, right? We know that when he makes the pitch to Rufus Griswold, he didn't make the pitch of, look at this new pill I invented. He found another pharmaceutical company and another chemist who was making this thing. And he said, we should hire this guy or we should just buy out his company. So, okay, Roderick Usher brought Ligadone to market. He didn't invent it.
Yeah, but he's taking credit for it. That's part of his story now.
Yep.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Juno Usher?
I mean, like you said, well, I still feel like we don't know much about her, honestly. Like she is, she's not like them in the sense that she's not the product of this toxic environment, but she's also, an addict and has had a difficult life. It's interesting because everything we've seen about her relationship with Roderick, despite, a substantial age gap, seems like they like each other. Like we're not seeing any of the telltale signs of like, oh, there's some horrible catch here. There's something horrible going on. It just seems like he really likes her and she seems to like him and she's in recovery. And, I don't know. I do we know, is she still alive? Like at the end of by the end, I mean, like in the funeral time frame, because I don't remember seeing her.
I believe she is in the funeral. Okay. I believe when we cut to the two other people attending the funeral are Madeline. I think Pym is there, and then I believe Juno is there as well.
Yeah, Pym definitely is, because I remember thinking it's Luke. But
yeah. No, I mean, I think you're right. She's really interesting because like the reason he meets her is because the doctors want him to go see this person who was on a higher dose of Ligadone than they have ever done ever in the history. And she's conscious and on this high of a dose of this drug. How is this possible? And he even uses her when he's making his argument to Dupont is like, this is bullshit. Like the thing you're saying about my drug being highly addictive and having negative side effects is bullshit. Look at my wife. She takes this drug every day. And she's fine. Is that true? Is it not true? Is their relationship perhaps born on the fact that he can hold her up as an example of the goodness of this drug? But I agree with you. It does seem like he's legitimately likes her as well. Like she's that awkward scene when she's on his lap in the office and Lenore walks in. Mm-hmm. So they're getting busy.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I guess one question in my mind is like, does he actually believe that his drug is not addictive? Because
that's a good question.
That would be bizarre. Like he can't believe that at this point, right? Like,
sure,
they're exhuming bodies to hide them. Like, can he really be so naive? Like, I mean, unless it's his sister doing everything bad, and he's just like the patsy, mm-hmm. which that would be a fun twist, but I don't know. We'll see.
Any update on the who is the informant idea? You can cross Perry off the list, probably.
Probably. I mean, I still like my theory that it's him, that he is trying to inform on his own company because he's uncomfortable with it. Like it lines up with this idea that when he was a young man, he was actually idealistic, and it was his sister who pushed him into all this.
Sure. Okay. Cool. Other little notes I wanted to point out. Perry's girlfriend, one of the two people that are with Perry, the mask she's wearing at the masquerade ball is the mask that the killer in Hush wears. Just that white plain mask. It's that mask.
Love it.
It's really cool. Once you see it, you can recognize it. That was cool. Also wanted to point out that the guy in the scene with Perry asking about the water is a man named Elon Gale, who we've said that name a couple times over the course of the show. He has written some episodes with Mike Flanagan. He's been a long-term friend with him. He's like an executive producer of a lot of reality TV stuff. So I think they probably met all the way back at the beginning because Mike, like one of the first jobs he did in Hollywood was doing editing for reality TV. Like he was an editor before he was a filmmaker. He was editing for reality TV programs. So that's probably because they've been like, Elon Gale has been in stuff constantly. And my wife knows him because my wife loves reality TV. And so every time she sees him on the screen, she does the Leonardo DiCaprio pointing meme at him. So
awesome.
That's him.
Cool.
I think that's all I had. There's so much stuff in this episode, but a lot of it I think we're gonna get to circle back around to in later episodes as we learn more about these characters.
Yeah.
I just really loved this one.
Me too.
I guess let's just to focus on the death once again. It's fucking brutal.
Yeah.
So at what point did you realize the method of death was going to be sprinkler acid. Was it not really literally not up until the moment the acid hits him on the...
I'm pretty sure when they talked about there being water tanks on the roof, I was already getting really suspicious about there being something wrong with the water, because they talked about the place being toxic.
Yeah.
And I was like, so they're going to hook it up to the water that's on the roof, which is either contaminated or it's like not water, but some kind of like deluge system that's meant to, like melt contaminants or something, right? And so I had literally thought about it from that point, and then when the drop of water falls onto his phone, I was like, it's going to be the water. It's definitely going to be the water.
The way that shot, like, we start in an overhead shot up in the air, and we're like right next to the sprinkler head, and then we follow the water drop down, and that's how we enter the scene, is a great way of telegraphing what is to come without necessarily coming right out and saying it. But yeah, it is really cool that you don't know 100% for sure until that first drop hits. It's fantastic. It's awful. But wonderful.
And to be fair, when I say, I knew that it was going to be the water, I didn't know that it was going to melt everyone. Right? Like, so you're still, even if you see it coming, like, I think you're meant to see it coming. They're not terribly like the script is pretty like toxic building. It's a toxic building. It's condemned. No one should be there.
Yeah. Just hook up to those tanks on the roof. Let's not bother to check if there's anything in those. What's it? Is it just water? Yeah, it's probably just water. Just hook up to them. I did like the little bit, we talked about how Verna was not actively like participating in any of this, but there is that one shot where she's up on the roof of the building and Freddie sees her up there. Perry sees her up there.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's how he first notices the tanks on the roof, because he's up there looking at her.
True. True.
Yeah. No, but I agree. I mean, it's telegraphed in a very fun way. I mean, even like that Verna is like going around and whispering in the ears of every employee, the bartenders and the bouncers, and telling them all to leave. Like, it's about to go down.
Right.
Yeah.
And they do, actually. Yeah, that was we see a bunch of people leave before they melt everybody. So.
Yep. She tries to tell Roderick's wife to do the same thing, but she doesn't. So yeah, we're going to pick up that thread in the next week's episode, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions about, why is my melted wife at your sex rave?
Yep.
I guess he can't ask that to Perry directly, seeing as how he's horribly dead.
I mean, the worst part was that he seems to be alive and horribly burned for quite a while.
Yeah. It does not seem like the type of death that's going to be quick. Yeah. They are going to very slowly.
I mean, the worst part of like the last 30 seconds of the episode is the little like squelching sounds and little like groans and breathing sounds, because many, if not most, of these people are not actually dead yet. And that's pretty horrifying.
Well, it's a very powerful image of like it's this like this almost kind of like monstrous like amalgamation out of like a body horror thing, where like these bodies have almost fused and melted together horribly. And it's straight up body horror. It is like the ultimate like culmination of hedonism, of like sex and skin and together and coming together, made physical. It's brilliant to do it this way. But it's horrible.
It reminds me of a conversation that we had about that movie about drugs, and how if you do drugs, you're gonna have a horrible life. What's it called?
No, I keep thinking Eternal Sunshine, but it's the other one. It's the other one.
Requiem for a Dream.
Requiem for a Dream. Yes.
Where it's like, it's the best anti-drug thing you could ever show anyone. That this is like the best anti-debauchery thing you could ever show anyone. But by debauchery, I specifically mean like, sexual, because it's just like you now have that image in your mind forever, just like you have all the images from the end of that movie in your mind forever.
Yep. You hear that, kids? Don't go to a rave.
Yep.
In an abandoned chemical processing plant.
Yeah. Always
Just
look
because-
up who owns the building.
Yeah. Just because it costs $25,000. I think that is something that's making a point of its own too, is that like the absurdity of wealth. I mean, a lot of this, you know, we haven't directly just came out and say this, but this is a show that is 2023, right? The opioid epidemic is a real thing in our country right now. People are horribly addicted to opioids and dying left and right. It is a thing. And also like the obscenity of incredible wealth is a thing, right? And I think those are two things that the show is tackling. So just like the absurdity of people being willing to pay $25,000 to go to a party one night just because of the exclusivity is ridiculous. For the same reason it's absurd that someone's willing to pay $10 an egg for a stupid quail egg that's only available 3 weeks out of a year, but then not even appreciate the reason why it costs money because it tastes good.
I think there's something that offends our sensibilities about the idea of like, why is this thing valuable? Because it adds something to my life, because it is intrinsically positive, because it has utility. No, it's just because it has been made expensive and scarce.
Yep.
That's the only reason why it is $25,000. It's to keep it. It's just to make it exclusive.
Yeah.
There's like a reaction we have as human beings where it's like, fuck you. That's not a valid reason to do that. Like,
yeah.
It's a trick, and it really is a trick. Like Perry is very transparent about the idea that he's like, I'm fabricating this sense of exclusivity. I'm not providing anything of value. The value is just you get to say that you are one of the people who can do this, which is extremely hollow, as his existence has shown.
There are thousands of clubs and raves and dance parties everywhere, all around the world, constantly, right? You just need music and drugs and alcohol. None of those things are expensive or exclusive. It's absurd. It's absurd. Like this, again, if you like raves, maybe there's a version of you that like sees the beginning parts of this party and is like, fuck yeah, this looks awesome. Does it look 25 grand awesome? Does it? Having one bartender that takes 10 minutes to get you a drink. There's a couple of drug dealers wandering around that you can buy drugs from. They're not going to give them to you for free. Your $25,000 entrance fee did not cover your drugs or your alcohol, I'm sure. Yeah, you can like hook up with random people, but again, that's not exclusive. You can hook up with random people if you want to, you know, like you're absolutely right. There's nothing special about this. It doesn't even look that cool. And the idea of like the big culmination of this dream he had is just
water.
We're going to make him wet.
Yeah.
It's just like, really? Like even that stupid, like the one girl that he's with sings that the version of wet ass pussy, but she says like wet ass party, and I was like, that's so lame.
Yeah, I did
$25,000.
I was also laughing at the idea that like getting everyone wet is going to be a desirable thing. They're going to be like, oh, this is hot. Now we're cold and wet.
Now we're all gonna have sex.
Yeah.
Like, well, all right, here's the plan. Dance floor here. We're gonna throw mattresses over there, and then the sprinklers are gonna rain down.
Yeah.
$25,000.
We're all gonna have sex on wet, cold mattresses.
Matt, you don't understand. It's primal.
Yeah.
It's important.
Like, yeah, his pitch, he certainly made it sound like it would be, but
yeah, it's selling a false bill. Like it's selling exclusivity.
Yeah.
That is only exclusive because you made it exclusive, right? Like it only has value because Perry said only 100 people can be on this list.
Yeah. I mean, it's so, you know, now we're getting all philosophical and abstract here at the end of the episode, as this is what happens as the night wears on with you and I. But like, it's, you know, the basic idea of mimetic desire, where that's MIMETIC etic, as opposed to mimetic desire. Anyway, point is, the way the way human beings really acquire desires, according to this theory, is by watching what they see other people desiring.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is how we end up desiring things just because they're scarce, or because they seem to make other people happy, but the thing that you're gravitating toward is the wrong target, because you don't understand what is the element about that thing that is making people happy.
Mm-hmm.
And so someone like Perry ends up desiring this hedonistic lifestyle because he sees other people desiring it, not because it brings anything to his life. And then he tries to create this sort of, he tries to realize this vision of hedonism based on his own projected sense of what he thinks other people want, but he himself doesn't even actually want. Maybe I'm projecting a bit just because of my own preferences and whatever, but like it so doesn't appeal to me, and Perry never looks like he's having fun. So I just maybe jumped to the conclusion that he doesn't even really know why he's here. He's just doing it because he thinks everybody else wants it,
Yeah. I mean, look, if you want to go to orgies and raves and shit, like if that's what you enjoy doing, like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that's wrong to do that. Go for it. But I agree with you. I think the fact that we reach this conclusion separately from each other and just kind of agree with it, that this all seems performative, that it seems like he doesn't, the why of it. Like, I like the first thing that Roderick Usher says about Perry is like, the thing you need to understand about Perry is that he's crazy. And like, I don't think that's not true, because he like holds a fork up to his friend for taking his bullshit gull eggs. But I think that's kind of performative too, a little bit.
Yeah.
Like he's like, I think choosing the Masque of the Red Death for Perry was intentional in so many ways. And one of the ways was what we talk about, a masquerade of putting on a mask, of putting on a version of yourself, to hide who you really are. And that's what I think all this stuff is. It's just too try hard. It's just too performative. It's just too, this is what I'm supposed to be. It's exactly what you're talking about.
I think I'd also kind of pinged off of Usher saying, the main thing you have to know about him is that he's crazy. It's like that seems like a protesting too much sort of thing to say. It's like, that's not really the main thing about him. Like, it's almost like he wants to disidentify himself with this kid to the point where he's exaggerating. It's like, this is kind of like, where do you think he picked this up? He picked this up from you and your other kids.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's definitely not the fact that you and I were raised religious and we're extremely repressed. We definitely have an objective view on the situation, and it's everyone else who's weird.
It is too late.
That up.
It is too late in the night for me to deal with the existential truth of that statement.
Yeah.
So fuck you.
All right.
Let's wrap up the episode.
Sounds good.
All right. That was The Fall of the House of Usher, episode 2, The Masque of the Red Death. Great episode. Next week, as I said, will be Murder in the Rue Morgue. We're going in age order.
Yeah, I figured that.
We started with the youngest, Perry.
That was my guess last time.
Mm-hmm. So who's next, Matt?
Well, I forgot what the age order was. Well, I mean, it's got to be. Okay, let me look at the. Did you write them down in age order, or am I going to have to just figure this out?
I did not.
You did not. I mean, is Camille the second youngest?
She is.
Then Camille, aka Kate Siegel, is going to get murked by a monkey next week.
Just going to get got.
Yep.
We'll see. You're not supposed to know the monkey part.
Okay.
You keep saying it.
I know, but
well, I mean, this is actually a good thing to talk about at the very end, and then we'll get to the discussion question. I promise. But like, one of the things I was thinking about this week is the idea that because this show is taking from so many different Poe things, that a lot of the episode, like a lot of like the quote unquote twists and turns of the story are things we just kind of know already. Like you and I have talked about Annabelle Lee multiple times, and like, I'm not saying that the show needs to end exactly the way the poem ends, but also we're just aware of what happens to Annabelle Lee in that poem. Like what the poem is about the author losing his love, Annabelle Lee, because she died.
Yeah.
Right. So like that's in our mind. And like with all these stories as well, like we know what happens in the Masque of the Red Death. We know Prospero dies in that story. We know what happened in Murder in the Rue Morgue. We know what happens in the Black Cat. We know we know all these things, right? And so I think one clever thing the show did is it's not a show that's like we noticed this in the very first episode. It's not a show that's like hiding any of this stuff from us, right? Like we know all these kids have died. We know how it ends, essentially, sort of. We just don't know the why and a little bit of the how of it. Right. So like, it's not a show that necessarily it matters that you've read a bunch of Edgar Allan Poe stuff because of its construction. They like leaned into the idea that everyone knows the story of the Telltale Heart. Even if you haven't read the Telltale Heart, it's a level of cultural osmosis that you know it. And so it doesn't make sense to design a story around the fact that you're going to be shocked what happens at the end of an episode titled The Telltale Heart.
Yeah.
And it's very smart to do it that way.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it. That's my last bit.
All right.
So let's get into the discussion question for this week and next week. What was the question that we asked people a couple weeks ago?
What character would what character deserves to be bricked up in a wall? Because
I just want to say here, before we start, we were very specific to fictional character because we did not want to end up on lists. And some of our listeners tried to get us on a list. I don't want to get a call from the Secret Service.
Yeah, maybe they got themselves on a list. So.
Yeah. So we will not be reading those responses.
That's right. But we will be reading Apocalypse Win 7, who said, "My answer isn't strictly from fiction per se, but it was brought into this world by devilishly creative hands, so I thought I would impart the true story of my long-standing childhood nemesis who caused many nighttime awakenings. Once upon a midnight dreary, I fell to bed with drawn eyes bleary when a ghastly foreign sound did babble stoutly from next door. My sister's Furby, newly bought, this night did my mind besought with wretched intonations of Buddha and Uawat. 'Twill quiet soon, I muttered. To the heavens I implore, shut thy cursed beak and let me rest here evermore. But on and on the endless prattle caused my brain to clank and rattle, till sleep was but a distant dream upon Plutonian shore. The beast of pink and purple fur, this battery-powered saboteur, no desperate pleading could deter its chanting from a drawer. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, whose senseless language I abhor. Your days are numbered, demon. I can stand this plight no more. In darkened basement hardly cleaned, I walled up the evil fiend, till it was safely quarantined beneath the cellar floor. But still my nights are grim and bleak, for through the distance still doth leak the chattering of its hideous beak beneath the cellar floor. He sings there still, Weluta, and my dreams are troubled, nevermore. Untroubled, nevermore. Thank you, Apocalypse Win. Thank you, Apocalypse Win 7. That was
beautiful,
outstanding, astonishing work. I think we can all relate to having little robotic toys that either are like light activated or would just randomly activate and make sounds.
Yeah. I mean, Furbies are evil, so
yeah,
I get it. I totally get it.
My kids had this little elephant that like when it was new, you would like squeeze it and it would make little like childish laughing sounds and like rattle around. And then as the battery died, just the pitch gradually decreased. So you would squeeze it and it would be like, it was great.
That was very well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, we had one of those like singing cactuses that would like either sing or like just like say what you said back to it in a high pitched voice. And it had a similar thing where when it started running out of batteries, like the voice got unsettling.
Increasingly satanic, yeah.
Yeah. All right, Odin's Ghost 31 says Grandpa Joe from Willy Wonka, preferably chained to the headboard on the bed he pretended to be crippled in while he mooched off the kindness of his grandchild that spent what money he made buying him tobacco instead of food for the family. Grandpa Joe did this as they lived in complete poverty and day by day sat looking around the bed he shared with 3 other adults who will assume actually were bedridden. For the love of God, Charlie. Yes, said Charlie, for the love of God.
As he slid home the last brick. Yeah, that's there's Charlie in the chocolate factory, then there's Charlie in the great glass elevator, and then there's Charlie in the cask of Amontillado.
This is just incredible work, everyone. You all should be proud of yourselves.
Yeah, thank you. Pear Jane said, His Grace Joffrey of House Baratheon and Lannister, first of his name, King of the Andals and the First Men, Lord of the Seven Kingdoms, and Protector of the Realm. I could try harder, but fuck that guy. I tried thinking of someone hateful who survived the story, but honestly, I can't. All the folks I would like to personally brick up in a wall died horrible deaths in their stories, and even if I had to pick someone who'd survived, I'd still pick Joffrey. The distant second would be Warren from season 6 of Buffy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if we're picking Game of Thrones characters, I would also suggest Ramsay Bolton. I mean, there's a number of viable candidates in that story.
True. Comics Rats says Percy Wetmore from the Green Mile was my immediate response. I said it out loud in the car. He would deserve a slow, methodical process of being bricked up. I didn't know the sponge was supposed to be wet. Brick. Broke Dell's fingers. Brick. Stomped on Mr. Jingles. Brick. 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 Bev Keane is definitely a super close second.
Awesome.
I agree. Percy, like, that's such a fantastic done story. Like, I watched the movie before I read the book, actually. And he's just one of those characters that, like, as a kid, you just get so mad because he doesn't die. I was like, I want him to die. I want him to die the exact same way that he made poor, what's his name? I can't remember the name of the guy he electrocutes horribly without wetting the sponge, but I want him to die that same way, and he doesn't.
Yeah. I agree. All right. Sandy Bones says, I struggled to think of who could possibly deserve such a torturous death. Then it hit me like a ton of bricks. I would brick up Montresor. Titty Tatty Amontilladi. Laughing and saying things like, true, the Amontillado, of course.
That's a good answer. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah. All right. And then we got a bunch of answers. I'm going to quickly go through the rest. Durin Longbeard chooses Denethor for his tomato eating habit specifically. Bookish Jenny selects Dolores Umbridge, which is also a choice made by Will H., who threw Bev Keane behind the wall for good measure as well. Busy Dad 82 selected Bev Keane, Shasta, and possibly Tamerlane, 3 characters who have nothing in common that I can think of. No, Samantha Sloyan's various very, very hateable characters. Love it. Scotch Full of Yours selects Ben Linus from Lost. Though doubts a wall could contain him.
Ben Linus never did anything wrong whatsoever.
Yeah. Never the Dawn chooses Homelander from The Boys. Yeah, I think a lot of people would agree.
Sure.
Catch-Ups at Reed's chooses Scarlett O'Hara for mandatory permanent self-reflection time.
Probably wouldn't do her any good, but sure.
It's been a while since I watched that movie, but okay.
She's not great, Matt. She's not great.
Yeah. Baby King You Dig Your Sam says Percy Wedmore from The Green Mile and Aunt Cordelia from Wizard and Glass. Yes, Aunt Cordelia does suck a lot and deserves it.
Yes.
Steve Living Room chooses Sauron, who deserves a slow, helpless death. Yeah, that would be good. He doesn't get bricked up, but he does get kind of sealed away in a way that's kind of cool. Yeah. Don Zest chooses Elijah Woods, Kevin from Sin City, but worries that he just smile silently and survive. Yeah, that's I don't want to think about that character at all. And Kat Ballou chooses Charles Blackwood from Fall of the House of Usher as the embodiment of patriarchal entitlement.
I don't know who that.
Is he I don't know who that is either.
Yeah. I don't think that's Usher.
Maybe it's I don't know, maybe
Oh, that's We Have Always Lived in the Castle.
Oh, okay.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Okay.
I think, right?
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, Blackwood is We've Always Lived in the Castle. That's a Shirley Jackson film.
Okay, cool.
Or film.
Maybe
book.
there was like a miscopy on this question or something. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what. Yeah, I'm looking at the question now. Yeah, they don't specify what it's from.
Oh, okay.
So I think that was just a miscopy. Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Good answer though.
Yep.
All
cool.
right. So Matt and I hate raves and parties.
Yeah, being around people in general.
Yeah. So we're podcasters. So the question we're asking you folks for next week is, what is the single best rave or party scene ever in a work of fiction?
Yeah. Try to find one that'll make us go, I see the appeal.
I'm going to go ahead and declare right now that the scene from Eyes Wide Shut, it would not be considered a rave or party scene.
Uh-huh.
That's creepy cold orgies. That doesn't count. Or does it? Matt, does that count? What do you think?
I mean, that's definitely in like, that's, yes.
Matt?
I mean, that's the kind of thing that people literally cook up and try to.
Per Matt, creepy cult orgies count. So do with that what you will.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying that.
No, you just said it. You did.
I guess so. Yeah, I guess I did. I did say it. Cool.
Yeah, that should be fun too. I don't think we're gonna get quite as many answers as how many fictional characters do you all want to murder. Turns out the answer is a lot, but let's get some good responses to that. There's got to be some good party scenes out there somewhere, right? I want to watch a scene that makes me go, "Yeah, I wish I was there."
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us this week. Next week, as we said, episode 3 of The Fall of the House of Usher, Murder in the Rue Morgue.
That's right. Remember, you can reach us via email at flanaganswakepod@gmail.com, over on X at flanaganswake19, and the subreddit at reddit.com/r/doofmedia is the best place to answer that discussion question. Also, don't forget, every episode can be found over on YouTube and Spotify. Please leave us a comment and let us know what you think. Scott has gone through a Herculean effort to change our hosting platform, which I think is all squared away now. So there may have been some hiccups recently, but I think those should all be better now.
Yeah, for the most part. There's a few like one-off weird things that are just have to do with other platforms like not refreshing the feed correctly to where they're still trying to pull from the old feed and they shouldn't, but all the major ones have everything we have. Certainly all the major ones have this show everywhere. So yeah, we should be good for a while now. Forever, hopefully.
Yep.
But we do want you to head over to doofmedia.myshopify.com, because now that Matt knows that Built Nation that was referenced in the first episode has to do with Bill T and his exercise regimen. 10 million followers on Built Nation, Matt. They love his exercise stuff. And so do we, because we have made our own line of Built Nation merchandise, which is a wonderful Get Built shirt that comes in a crop top or a tank top or just a normal t-shirt. It's got Get Built on it. And it's got a little gold bug in it there too. You can check that out at doofmedia.myshopify.com. I believe also Jody put a gym towel in there too. So if you need a new gym towel and wanted to say Get Built, and then have people say, "What's that from?" and you say, "Get Cultured, loser," you can do that.
That's right.
But it's really fun. I like it. I want one. I'm gonna get a crop top, Matt. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, no, I think we should wear that on the podcast.
It's one of my most fun designs that Jody's done. I really was just like on a whim when we were sitting there. I think I just finished watching an episode and I was like, is there something with Built Nation that we could do merch wise? Because that feels fun. And this is what she came up with very quickly, and it looked phenomenal. So it's
does.
out there right now. So doofmedia.myshopify.com. Please check that out.
Yeah. If you like Flanagan's Wake and you want to support us, then please consider heading over to patreon.com/doofmedia and checking out all the cool features we have over there. We have a whole bunch of patron-only podcast features. We're doing Scott's doing his Sopranos week by week watch podcast where he watches The Sopranos, talks about it, and he eats gabagool. I'm writing a novel.
It's not gabagool every time.
You're gonna have so much sodium, Scott. There's also this is what I was supposed to say at the top of the episode, but once we get to 2,000 patrons, so Scott recently did his tier list of every Stephen King novel at 1,000 patrons. When we get to 2,000 patrons, I will do a tier list of all of the Stephen King novels that I've read.
Of every King novel?
That I've read.
Of every King novel?
That we read on Kingslingers. That's right. That's right, Scott.
Wow.
So, if you want to incentivize me to do that, all you have to do is get 800 of your friends.
Everyone has 800 friends.
Yeah.
Don't be exclusive. You don't need 100 friends. You need 800 friends because exclusivity is bullshit.
Or 4 of you could get 200 of your friends. Look, I'm not going to tell you how to do your job. Just, figure it out.
Yeah, this is really cool. This is fun. I mean, we have really committed to making the Patreon. We've talked about this before, but we'll say it again. We've committed to making the Patreon like the one-stop shop place where you can find us. Our stuff is being released there. Like Matt's story he's writing is there for free. Gabagool, my Sopranos podcast, is there for free. So obviously we have exclusive stuff for our paid subscribers, but we also have a bunch of stuff that we're just releasing there for everyone. I occasionally do like one-off thoughts on news and films and stuff. And it's just, we're really enjoying that platform. They've made some improvements to it that really helps us like interact with you guys there. And so this is kind of about having you join in on the party for free. So you do that and Matt will read every single Stephen King book and then rank them all.
That's close to what I said. Yeah.
I think that's exactly what he said. So cool. If you don't want to do that, though, please, there are tons of other ways to support us. As Matt hits the mic again, and also the clink of the ice in the glass. Everything's going great. There are tons of ways to support us. You can do so via leaving us rating and reviews on any platform that does that. A great platform that does that is Apple Podcasts. And Matt, did you know I discovered how you can on Apple Podcasts read reviews from other countries? You used to not be able to do that, but I can log into Podcast Connect and read reviews from other countries. So here I have a review from our neighbors to the north up in Canada. So we have a review all the way back from January 16th, 2025, which was right after we got started last year, from Casablanca's J, who says, I love this. Pretty sure I've listened to every podcast these guys have released, and all of them were fantastic. Flanagan's Wake is a beautiful evolution of all their work, and I'm excited for more. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry it took us 18 months to get to this review.
Well,
but
we got there.
We got there. That's what matters.
And thank you for the thoughts.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And thank you all, everyone. I now can read reviews in other countries as well. So if you are listening from the United Kingdom, I see you. And I appreciate those too. So keep them coming. We really do appreciate them. As we always say, they do help with the algorithms and everything. The more people see interaction and reviews and stuff, the more these algorithms that are incredibly powerful. Just like Madeline says in this episode, the more they help support us and make our AI versions of Matt and I.
That's the goal. So, that is the end goal of all of this, obviously.
I mean, essentially, we've answered 10,000 questions over the course of our podcasting career. We've also journaled for 10 years, and there's a lot of information about us available on the internet. So based on what we learned in this episode, you definitely could create an AI version of you and me.
Yeah. That's unironically why I've been podcasting this whole time.
Well, that's upsetting. You didn't tell me that.
Well, I mean, you'll get to be immortal too, so.
Well, no, it won't be me.
Well, I look forward to having this argument with you over the next 10,000 years.
All right, folks, we're not going to have that argument today. Today, we're going to go to bed. We'll see you back here next week for episode 3 of The Fall of the House of Usher. Until then, maybe get an umbrella, Mr. Flanagan. Like a good strong umbrella. Might do you good. Because of the acid. Right?
Yeah.
Did you get it?
I did. But
Okay.
It's got to be the right kind of plastic, you know?
Yeah.
Remember Breaking Bad?
Yes. I do. Didn't work out.
Didn't work out.